in the morning on a Tuesday. And if it's a Tuesday at 10 during hurricane season, it means it's time to track the tropics. From Central Florida, I'm WESH 2 meteorologist Eric Burris.
And in Savannah, Georgia, I'm WJCL 22 Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson.
So, Jeremy, we've got something to track out there for this morning.
Yeah, it's not that impressive. This will be a fish storm. It's way out there, kind of in the subtropical, central Atlantic, whatever you want to say. It's just northeast of Bermuda. The chance yesterday was down to 40%, and then overnight it got bumped back up to 70%. And we're kind of talking off before we got started here. We're still not quite sold on it.
Yeah. The problem is, when you look at it in a higher resolution satellite image, and we'll just, first there are the computer models taking it away. That's not a concern whatsoever. But look at the satellite image, and there's some convection. But while there's some convection, there's just not a whole lot. And the visible satellite, I think, really tells the tale. Any of the convection that's even there is kind of on that northeast quadrant. It's not wrapping around. It looks like a good gale, but it just doesn't look like it's much more than that, Jeremy.
No, and I mean, we would be the first to really fully say, hey, um, this is like a satellite era type storm, if anything.
Yep.
If we didn't have satellites cruising all over the ocean, probably wouldn't pick this one up.
Yeah.
And if a ship went through it, like you said, maybe some just gusty gale type winds, and that's
Right.
about it.
Yeah. So for now, it's one of those things. It's something to track. It's not looking like it's something that's going to develop. The hurt. So I was working this morning, Jeremy. So this morning it was at a 40% likelihood of development. Still this morning at the 2 a.m. update. Then at 8 o'clock they put it to 50%, and then 8:30 they put it back up to 70%. So it was a recent thing. But the one thing that we know is that this moves into hostile territory later on today. So essentially, if it doesn't get going in the next couple of hours, it's just not going to be the case. And it does not look like it's actually going to be able to make it.
No, it's certainly struggling this morning in terms of convection or thunderstorms around that circulation, and it's going to run into not only cooler waters the further north and east it goes. It's also going to hit some wind shear that might kind of pull apart some of the thunderstorms that may be there. So
Right.
this is whether it's named or not. This will be extremely short-lived. It's a fish storm, not impacting really any land at all, and this is moving away.
Right. And to that point, looking at the rest of the tropical Atlantic basin, you've got just a whole lot of, and I'll just kind of bring this out. You've got a whole lot of that Saharan dust, that Saharan air layer. And so to that point, there's nothing that's going to be able to get going, at least in the tropical main development region. The Caribbean, the Gulf, definitely quieter for Saharan dust, but there's enough of that particulate that we are not we're not looking at any kind of formation there.
Yeah, and all that dusty dry air that's just been hanging over that kind of the same area the entire month of June. So that has really suppressed any type of development
Yeah.
there. Now, as you mentioned, maybe something could get going like Gulf, Caribbean, something like that. We don't have anything that really jumps out right now.
Right.
I know several models, and not just the GFS, but also the European from time to time, somewhere in that first week of July has been trying to put kind of like a messy low down in the Gulf or off the southeast
Yeah.
coast. Nothing that really jumps out. Might just end up being a rainmaker.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's good. We could use that. So this is a look, and Jeremy, I'll just kind of take us through here. This is a look at
Yeah, do
the
that.
raw GFS model data, okay, and rolling through time. A lot of high pressure, not looking at anything significant, wanting to develop whatsoever. This is the 6Z GFS, by the way, which is the most recent run. Now, there's kind of a front that wants to bring some moisture, but it's right there around July 9th that front may make some sort of a low pressure deposit. Is that goofy to say, Jeremy? A low pressure deposit?
Well, it's going to deposit rain, is what
Yep.
it looks like. But it could also, even if it's not tropical in nature or anything, it could really mess up some Fourth of July week plans if we get a low down there and it just starts pumping moisture in.
Yeah.
Because what that'll do is produce a lot of clouds and thunderstorms.
Right. So for that point, if we go back to July 4th itself, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, low pressure Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, but this coastal low, the piece of energy pulling off the coast isn't until about Wednesday, July 9th, and then it just kind of hangs around through the 10th. And that's as far out as the GFS itself goes. Now, European model, let's go back and just kind of review that. Again, high pressure. Lots of high pressure, keeping things fairly quiet. We'll go to the 0Z so we can just go further out. And it's showing that front, but it's not trying to do much as far as like a coastal low. So at least at the moment,
Right.
there's not much to track, and I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take a look at as a whole at our longer range forecast, we really had maybe getting back into another part of the pattern that would have more sort of promise or hope or chances of development by mid-July.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to call it up here, but I always kind of look at that CFS model, which
Yep.
goes out 700 plus hours.
Right.
So that certainly is full of errors, but sometimes it gives us clues, and that is starting to hint at the kind of the closer we get to mid July and past. There's a lot more that it's showing. Like that model right now doesn't really show anything,
Right.
and then we get into mid-July, and it's starting to hint at a lot more lows kind of coming across the Atlantic. Even has one hanging out in the Gulf, and that fits a lot more of our thinking.
Right.
We don't really have anything mapped out right now for that early part of
Hey,
July in the
Jeremy,
Gulf.
Jeremy, I don't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt you, but the National Hurricane Center tweeting out, National Hurricane Center will initiate advisories on Tropical Storm Andrea. So there it is. Breaking
Okay.
news.
All right, and we did it live right here.
So there you go. So I mean, okay. So let's get into this. So Andrea, here's the problem. Again, as we had discussed, satellite era stuff because the convection, I mean,
Yeah. But I mean, okay, so I say I kind of look at it as like it's a blessing and it's a curse. If
right.
this was over the Caribbean or the Gulf and you didn't have satellites and all of a sudden 24 hours later it was maybe a low end hurricane moving into land,
Yeah.
you would want that advance notice
Right.
with every satellite possible. So that's where having that technology is great. Here, not saying it's a bad thing, but this is why this is named
Yeah.
is
I'm
because
just
of the satellite era. But then also, to be fair, that's also a little bit why, and I think every person acknowledges this, why over time, part of the reason the average number, when you look at the 30-year averages, has gone up a little bit.
yeah. I think so. I mean, it's the ability to see it. It's the, we just live in a different world at the end of the day, right? And so I think that's definitely that. But again, it's important to note that it's still not coming here.
Correct.
That
And that is so now that we have our first name, and that's about what we average for June is around
yeah,
one name storm.
yeah. So I'll pull up the statistics. So yeah, during the month of June, typically, now it says 0. We'll change it to 1 when the advisories come out, but we average 1.1 name storms through today. Last year we'd had 1 name storm through today, so that's definitely that. You know what? I'm gonna roll. We're gonna go. I'm gonna walk the laptop just to tell my newsroom because here we are working. So Jeremy, you know
Okay.
you can talk a little bit while I'm walking this direction.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe we just get an entire tour there of the West Studios. I've been in there
we're
a number of
listen,
times,
we're in
but
a temporary newsroom right now. So hold on. Let me just. This is how we do it. Hey guys, we're gonna have Andrea at. You're all over it. You're on it. As we're streaming, it's Andrea. Yeah, there's a difference. It's Andrea.
I think it's Andrea.
Jeremy said we're live. Jeremy says he thinks it's Andrea. Go to the National Hurricane Center website. Is this bad TV? We're having this conversation right now.
No, I think it's really good.
Okay, all right. So if you go, no, scroll to the top. If you go to Data Tools, okay, and you
I
go
think it's
to
Andrea.
names, where maybe it's educational resources, tropical
Yes, it is.
cyclone names. Click where it says pronunciation guide.
Oh, we're doing
I
this
think it's
live.
Andrea.
We are doing, yeah, we are doing this live. You think it's Jeremy? You think it's Andrea?
I think it is.
It's on
It's
Andre. See the Dree, D-R-E-E.
Andrea.
They spell it.
That's Andrea.
That's Andrea.
Yeah,
Okay.
Andrea.
I mean, I read that as Andrea.
No.
There's no
You
A
see it
N
as
H.
Andrea.
Yeah, because the
It's Andrea.
Andrea.
We're having a whole argument here, Jeremy.
Andrea.
Andrea. It's
It's
Isaiah.
Andrea.
It's Isaias all over again.
Oh, let's not bring that one up.
This is the temporary newsroom that we're in. So I
Okay.
just broke. What's great is like I just broke this, and now I get to go back in the other room and let the chaos ensue.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
So, all
Mwah.
right. So
I already
it comes
retweeted it.
down to we
Sorry.
have our first name storm.
Yes.
It's a fish storm, not going to impact any land. It's going to be very short lived. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts.
Right, right. And the good news is it gives us an opportunity to have this discussion to bring hurricane season back to the forefront and to let us say the peak is still months away, but the peak is going
Right.
to happen, right? I think it's a good opportunity for us to remind people like we're there.
Yeah. And I think another thing that it should remind people is a week ago when we were talking, we said, well, unless something just kind of pops up, we don't really have anything on the horizon. Well, back on maybe it was Sunday or something, we got the little hatched area of interest with this.
Yep.
And here we are now with the name storm.
Yeah. So anyway, there's the name. So Andrea. Ugh, I thought it was Andrea. Am I dumb? Ay, ay,
No,
ay.
and the next one's Barry. That's an
Barry.
easy one.
Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, breaking news. No worries. It is what it is. I
So,
that's all I got. Honest to goodness, like it's like much ado about nothing, which is good.
right.
It'll be a storm for like 6 hours, if that.
Yep. So, another thing here, we won't get really any ACE with that. If you want to tell people what ACE is, it's
Yeah.
just another metric we use.
Yeah, so ACE is accumulated cyclonic energy. So the stronger, the longer a storm exists, the higher that number goes. But with this, it's going to be named. Maybe it'll get two advisories, maybe, and then it falls apart. So there we are. So, um, you know, a big, powerful, long hurricane will generate a bunch of ACE. It's one of the metrics we use to measure a season. This is not going to be that. This is just going to be one of those, oh, hurricane season still exists, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think in an average season, we're around, is it 120, give or take
That makes sense.
a
Somewhere
little
around
bit?
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this one will probably generate like less than one
Yeah, yeah,
ACE.
you're gonna end up with like 0.2 or 0.3 if that, something like that.
Right. So,
Everybody,
well, that was, I guess that was our excitement for tracking the tropics today.
hey man, look, we- it's the month of June and we broke news here. There it is. That's all I've got. Honestly, that's all I've got. Otherwise, it's still quiet, and it's going to be quiet for a while after this. So,
Yeah.
but you know what's interesting? We were looking at the Madden-Julian oscillation and had discussed how the MJO was going to briefly go in phase around the 23rd, 24th, and there you go. Right? This is a
Yeah.
prime example.
And look at where this formed. It was not anywhere near that dusty dry air.
Right, right. That's
So
the struggle you have.
yeah, and that I'll tell you what, it's a good thing that dusty dry air was around when we had that a little more favorable part of the pattern, or I think maybe that Western Caribbean, far southern Gulf would have had some sort of low form.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would have ended up being.
Right.
But I think that dusty dry air really kind of capped things in June, and I mean, maybe it comes back again later in the season once it finally sort of filters out here in the next week or so.
Right.
But if that dusty dry layer is not around for that mid to late July, maybe very start of August, I think that part of the pattern would have some activity this next time around.
No, I think you're absolutely right. So mid to late July is going to be that next window. So we're in a bit of a quieter stretch, right? But once that pattern goes hot again, if we have the dusty dry air, we're going to be okay. If that Saharan dust layer wants to back off a bit, It's going to be a different, that's going to be when we start waking things the heck up, truth be told.
Yeah, and we'll be busy then, but at least we didn't have to do a special track in the tropics today. It fell very well for us.
I think so. But all right,
It,
that's that's all I've got. I've got a graph. I've got
and
a
they
new.
don't have it's not loaded in the system yet.
No, no, they've not. You say. You want me to look? Stand by. I'll look for you.
Yeah, it may not be till like 10:30 or 11 a.m. Eastern.
Checking. Stand by. This guy, y'all. Oh, it is. Of course it is.
Yep,
Tropical
I think
storm
they
Andrea. All right, hold on. Let me hit that. Ay, Gavoltasmir, you're making me work today, Nelson.
15 seconds ago. The National Hurricane Center put the track out.
Yep, I'm working on it. I
Okay.
I haven't done this in 6 months.
I think it's just a good test run for all meteorologists around the country too, to make sure our like kick the tires on our
Right.
graphics, and even though we test all that stuff, now that we have some real data, real information flowing in, just make sure everything's ready to roll.
Right. All right. I'm working on the cone here. Hold
Okay.
on.
So it only really has it for into this evening, and
Yeah.
then after that, it's already a depression
Uh-huh.
and kind of moving on. And they cut the track off after tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I assume after that, it's just maybe a remnant after we get the depression tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So this will
No,
probably
that makes sense.
right now, while you're doing that, right now it
Yep.
has maximum sustained winds 40 miles per hour. So, like you're saying, just kind of some gale stuff out there,
Right.
and movement is east northeast at 17 miles per hour.
I'm almost there. This is the making the what do they say? Making the Kool-Aid.
Yep. Let me see
There's
if there's any questions here
yes.
that have come in. I didn't really see any. We just had some people kind of hanging out, watching, getting the first storm of the season so far. And let's see here. You may have some on your end, but you
I
can work on
probably
that
do.
graphic
Yeah.
really quick. It's
All
probably
right.
more just moving your camera point way out there. This is pretty far out into the
It's
Atlantic.
well, I've got to stack the thing. I've got to put there it is. You have to put it, you have to change it to AL01
Yeah.
2025. You have to do all the coding.
So there it is,
There's the cone.
way out there.
It's not the cone. Oliver says it's the cone of uncertainty. I don't like that term. I think it's the cone of confidence. We're confident
Yes.
that's where it's going. That's just me.
Yes. Very confident in this storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Very confident it's going to come up and go down. So, anyway. All right. Do you have anything else? That's all I've got. I've got to go do
Nope.
all the
So
graphics for the company now for this.
yeah. All right. So storm number one, Andrea, up next. Whenever that happens, will be Barry. Nothing imminent right now, but again, we'll kind of just keep an eye on maybe something closer in if we
Yeah.
would get that some low on a front or something early July.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Very good.
All
Thank you, my
righty.
friend. Listen, thank you for hanging out from sunny Central Florida. I'm West 2 meteorologist Eric Burris.
And in Savannah, Georgia, I'm WJCL 22 Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.